congratulate you among the first with your new and well-deserved doctoral title. In writing the Laudatio, I realized that the last 4 years were quite a ride, and an impressive ride. You were initially hired under the funding from the Balazs Insurance Chair for Financial Wellbeing. Alongside your research masters at an older French-speaking Leuven, your background in consultancy caught my attention among the many applicants. I believe that the insights and expertise of a consultant would be invaluable for this project. However, over the past 4 years, you never came once to my office with flashy presentations, nor did you try to sell a trivial idea as the next big thing. This leads me to believe that there is more an academic in you than a consultant. After the first year, you were awarded with the prestigious FWO scholarship, which enabled you to continue your research with even greater independence over the next 4 years. However, about half a year into your studies, the COVID-19 pandemic struck. While this was a challenging time for all of us, it was likely even more difficult for you. With intercontinental borders closed, you were unable to return to Brazil. It was only after a very long time that flights resumed between Europe and Brazil, and you quickly booked one of the first available flights and returned to your birthplace. When you came back to Belgium, it was as a married man, and you brought your wife Marcella with you. This was likely a very joyful period for you, as you gained a notable amount of weight during the first year your wife was here. Later, it seemed that the honeymoon period ended as you returned to your previous weight. Myself and the entire Leer group were extremely impressed by your language skills. You began learning Dutch when you first arrived in Leuven. During our initial meeting with Balazs Insurance, you couldn't understand or speak a single word of Dutch. Yet, after 1 month's meeting and 2 months of study, you were able to understand Dutch, and another 2 months later, you spoke like a native Dutch person. This was incredibly impressive. From a research perspective, it allowed us to communicate effectively not only with Balazs, but also with the local media and with various stakeholders. Speaking of stakeholders, you embraced the Leer tradition of effectively disseminating our research. You were not only drafting press releases, blogs, podcasts, and opinion articles, but you also spoke at OECD conferences, which is really impressive during a PhD. Additionally, you were awarded travel funds by the Dundo Nobel Laureates meetings, the American Cause and Inference Conference, the FWO, and the G53 network. And these funds enabled you to attend no fewer than 15 conferences in the past 4 years. Of course, there was much to discuss with your communications with the OECD. You conducted a series of randomized control trials in Flanders, and I always enjoyed our discussions and brainstorming sessions on how to design them. You always enter my office with a notebook in your hand, and you asked whether, and when I was asking how you were doing, you always responded cheerfully, "Very good, and you?" So this was your typical way of responding. You had a remarkable ability to be receptive towards comments and suggestions, which is the hallmark, in my opinion, of a good PhD. You know how to work independently while still valuing and incorporating feedback, which significantly enhanced and improved the quality of your work. At the same time, you stimulated others during our year's internal seminars and conferences. You consistently had excellent questions for the presenters. Before asking your question, you would say, "Thank you very much for this excellent presentation and your very interesting story." Of course, the first 10 presenters believed it, but after that, I'm not sure whether they considered it as a running joke. During your PhD, you also explored various settings. You were visiting a researcher in St. Gallen, Switzerland, and you served as an expert consultant at the OECD. Unfortunately, we were a bit unlucky with the onset of the Russian war, which disrupted our plans for RCTs in Eastern Europe, and which would have been a great issue to do. Similarly, we were a bit unfortunate with some bad publications or some publication process. While the first paper of your PhD with Boki was published smoothly in a prestigious journal, the second and third paper were a textbook example of the difficulties in academia. Despite being very interesting and well perceived by everyone, also the committee here, except for editors and reviewers, both papers faced numerous test rejections. It was only after our close PhD defense that both papers were finally accepted for publication. and they ended up in very good, excellent academic journals. So you should be very proud of that. Nevertheless, I hope that this academic setback is not the primary reason why you do transition now to a banking job, and that you do have it also because of do the job also because of intrinsic motivation too. Anyway, I'm confident that you will excel also in this new role, and diverse skills that you developed during your PhD will serve you as an outstanding banker. So thank you very much, Francisco, for the great 4 years in our groups, and congratulations again.